we have looked at dictionary. Today, we'll do a small exercise, first on date and time. And then we will come back to list and dictionary and do one more. And then we will do one more on using Python objects. That is, we'll start like C++. We learn how to create a class and an object. We will do some object-oriented Python also. So these three things we are going to do. So we will start with the first one. Now I'm going to ask you to do a bit of research. I'm going to give you a little background. One skill that you need to build is how to do a bit of research on the net, little bit, and solve this. So we're going to start with a very simple question. Before I start question, I'll go to how do you deal with date and time in Python, very briefly. So just listen to that and then we'll do a question on it. Okay? So Python date time. So yeah. So there is a date time library which Python has, which is what we need to import if you're going to work with date. Now it looks a little funny. Can you scroll up? Yeah. It looks a little funny. What is two date times doing one after another? The thing is, there is a library called date time, and in that library there is an object called date time which you need to use, which has all the methods. So if you don't like the way it is written there, you can say from date time import date time. Remember? I hope you understand. There is a library called date time. Library means set of objects, and in that there is an object which is also called date time. Now, why is it like that is not the debate right now. And then so from date time, if you import date time, then you can skip one date time, because you have imported that date time from date time, and now you can say now and run it. So it will give you it should give you the current date and time. Okay, but the time obviously is not set to our locale. It is set to some other locale. So it's 11 o'clock here, and it is showing 6 in the morning, so it's the Greenwich time, right? It's the London time, right? So there are 5.5 hours before us. So yeah. So anyway, it doesn't matter. We are not interested so much in the date, the time. We are more concerned with the date. So let's keep it there. Then this will be the output. Yeah, we saw that. And this is how you can get. Then there are a few things which you should know. If you say now, you get the current time in, as we just saw, in the London time zone. Okay, so it's 6 o'clock in the morning in London. Now we normally don't need that. We need x dot year, and x dot year will give us the year, and x dot str, string format time, I think gives us the day of the week. That is, today happens to be a Tuesday and the year happens to be 2021. So that percentage A, like that there are a whole bunch of constants which trigger extraction of various values. So if you say percentage A, you get the day. I think percentage B, you get the month. Like that, you don't have to remember that, they're all there. So you just say string format time and give the x which is the date, x dot string format time, percentage A gives you the day of the week. Okay. So we'll go down further. So how do you create date objects? This is the normal way of creating a date object. If you just say date time now, you will get this. And if you want to do this, that you want a particular date to be converted, then you have that kind of thing, date time 2020, that is the year, month, and So that is how the format works. First is the year, the second is the month, that is May, and the last one is the date in that month. Okay, I think all of you know that. So it's the month, year format. It's called YYMMDB. Okay. So let's go down. Then string format time has various things, so you can convert the date time in this. Then if you say %B, I guess you will get the month in long form. I think if you say small b, you will get the abbreviation of the month. I think you will get June, Jun only. So big B gives you the complete name. So if you are in December, you will get December, and otherwise it will give you DEC. Okay, if you say small a, it will give you DEC. Sorry, small d. Similarly, small a, big A will give you Tuesday, and small a will give you TUE. Okay, or THU if it is Thursday. Okay. Anyway, that's trivial. Next. So these are the various ways. So %A gives you the short version, capital A gives you the full version, W gives you the weekday, %D gives you the day of the month, %B gives you the month in short form, capital B gives you month in the long form, M gives you the month as a number, Y gives you the year, capital Y gives you the full version of the year. Then you have R's, and both R in whatever format, and whatever. Okay. So and then you have AM, PM, and so okay. Just remember this. Just go up a little. So capital H gives you hour in 24-hour format. Capital I gives you hour in the smaller format, that is with AM, PM. And P gives you the AM and the PM. Minutes are capital M, S is seconds. I think that's all you need. Time zones we'll work with separately. We'll have another session on time zones because those are important. I think we have enough. So you can look them up if you want. Okay, come down. We say next. Let's see some Python math. Okay, no, this is going to math. So this is all that is there in date time. You know how date can be extracted. You can create a day from giving in the year, month and day format, and all of that. Okay, that is how you can create a day. And okay, now I'm not giving you the whole story. Okay, now here is a question where I want you to do a bit of research also as you write the answer, and I'm going to create a question and give it to you. And now think a bit, take your time, and I want you to give me the answer. Okay, so it will take about 10-15 minutes for you to do a bit of internet searching and come, because I want you to think on the internet. Because see, the new way, and as I told you, we are trying to introduce for at least these courses open book exams. So we are not going to have closed book, no. So it's all open book, and we are trying to see if the final exam can also be open book. That is not what you are come here for. You are not here to learn how to reproduce stuff. Right? Here to solve problems and understand how to solve problems. Right? So, listen to this question. I'll explain the question. Think a little bit on the internet and solve it. So, I'm going to give you a bunch of names along with their date of birth. So, let's start with. So, this is the year of birth. This is the month, and this is, this is the month and this is the day. You are with me? Like that, let's give you 5 pieces of data. it can be any piece of data. Okay. So this is the data I have. You with me? Now you have to tell me who is the youngest, who is the oldest. We are not looking at this. Given any data. Are you understanding the question? No, yes? I have given you the name of the person. I have given you after that the year of birth. These are all birth dates. Yes? I have given you the birth year, birth month, and birth day, meaning the day of the month, for every person. Now the day, these can change. You have to tell me who is the oldest and who is the youngest. Imagine there are, okay, let me make it simpler because I have not told you one important thing. I have to give you an N at the top, right? So here it will be 4 because I am giving you 4 pieces of data. So in a general problem I will give you N pieces of data and you have to tell me who is the oldest and who is the youngest. Did you understand the question? So I am giving you N records. So somewhere you have to read N records, then do what you have to do. And at the end of it, I have just shown you some date time, I have shown you now, and you have to do a bit of research. I will give you a hint. You can find in Python the difference between dates also. Okay. Anyway, I think I told you enough. That's called time delta. Okay. I've given you a hint. You have to use some time delta and find out who is the oldest. Now, don't look at this question. Look at it in the general sense. And given a list of maybe 1,000 records, and you have to determine among that list who is the oldest candidate, who is the youngest candidate. Yes? I am giving a hint. You can use delta, time delta. That's there in Python. Do a bit of research. You are anywhere on the net. That's the benefit. And all exams, in our case, open book means on net. Okay? You have to write your exams on the net. Meaning right here, but you can use the net. And delta. Think a little and solve. Let's see solutions now. We'll see solutions from the student first. So, I think 5 and 2. Click. Okay, let's see how. Good. Looks interesting. Okay, good. Looks interesting. Now, we'll go line by line. I'd asked you to use time delta. So, it's pretty. I can go through the solution, but it's good that someone in your own class is doing it. So from date time, import star. Star means import anything, everything. You can import explicitly or you can import one by one. Okay? Or just say import date time, from date time import star. So whatever is there in date time, you will get, which is time delta and date. Both will come. So what he is doing is he is getting n is equal to in input. You know what that does? Takes the input, converts it into integer. So we get the number of records, number of dates. So that is in the n. Okay? Then he creates an empty list. Nice. N is equal to empty list. That's how we know how to create an empty list. Then what do we do? For I in range n, you know why that is there? Because we have n records. We have to go through each record, and on each record we have to obtain certain differences. Okay. We have to obtain the age actually. How do you obtain somebody's age? You take when he was born and take today. Correct? And do a difference between these two. You will know how old is that person? No, yes. That's all it takes, no, to find out how old that person is. Right? So yeah. So let's see how that goes. So for I in range n, I'm on line 5, very nicely written. A is equal to input dot split. So when you split the input, you get basically whatever the split is called, A. So A of 0 will be the name of the person. A of 1 will be the year in which this person was born. A2 will be the month in which the person was born. And A3 will be the day on which he was born. I think that is fairly clear. So you have A0, A1, A2, A3. These are the portions of portions of their input for each person. Then, what is he doing? He is doing D0. Okay, so D0 is date dot today, or you can say date dot now. This, if you do a bit of research on date time, you will find an object called date. On that object date, you have this function. See, that is what I want you to find out and choose what is a suitable object. So, the suitable object happens to be date, and on date, there is a function already available called today. So, it will give you what is the date today. So, D1 or whatever, D0. Then D1, he is converting the date which has come also into a date. How do you do that? D1 is equal to date, D1 is equal to date and int A1. So the thing can be converted either way. A1, we just saw how to convert a date. First is the year, second is the month, and third is the day. Okay, day of the month. So that's what he's doing. He's leaving A0, int of A1. So date is given 3 parameters: int of A1, int of A2, and int of A3. Fair enough? So that is how a date is prepared. This is the date on which he was born. And we already, D0 is what? The date which is today. So if I subtract these two, I will know how old is that person. Yes, no? If I subtract today's date from the day he was born, we know how old in number of days. It can be number of years, but it's better to count in number of days. And how do you do that? You do a delta. So you say D1 minus D0, okay, D1 minus D0, and then what do? You do D1 minus D0 will give you what is the difference in between the 2 dates, when I was born and what is it today. So this difference gives you roughly the age of the person. So the age of the person is sitting in delta. You got that? Now, if you look at that library a bit, you will know L dot append A0. So the name of the person. So he'll produce a list which contains, L was empty. So he produces a list in which he contains A0. A0 is what? Name of the person. You remember when we split that, A1, A2, A3 was the year, month and day, and A0 was the name of the person. So L dot append A0, delta dot days. Delta dot days will give me what? What do you think it will give me? It will give me the difference or my age or anyone's age in days. Everybody has an age in days also, not necessarily years. No? So dot days is a better thing because somebody may differ in days. So L dot append A0 delta dot days gives the age of that person. So that list L will consist of tuples. Tuples of what? Name of the person and age of the person in days. In days. Name of the person, age of the person in days. That's okay. And age can be anything. Then he is doing the sorting on what? On the list. Look at the way the sort is being done using our own lambda function or his own lambda function. Sort using x. So each tuple will be x. X of 1 means what? Based on the age of the person. So the sort is everybody clear? The sorting is happening on the age of the person, very nicely. Do you understand why x? X is each tuple. Remember in sorting, when you have a list of tuples, it's a list of tuples. So when you have a list of tuples, each tuple consists of 2 parts. Name of the person, age of the person in days. So he is sorting this list of tuples using the age of the person, which is x1. So x, how do you sort x? Using x of 1. So that is getting sorted. Once it is sorted, then you know what it is. So you are sorting by age. So what will happen? It will be in ascending order of age. So ascending order of age. So the older, I think you reversed it, is it? So oldest person. So the least age guy will come first, no? It's reverse. Date, you said date is ulta. Okay. So you are subtracting d1 minus d0. So it's negative. Okay. No. Maybe better way is, you understood what is. The dates will be negative. Days will be negative. No, yes. See, today will be d0. That will be more days, no? Than what you were born. So you will get negative. Because it is negative, I mean it's the reverse. Ideally, okay, we'll change it a bit. We'll do d0. We'll just change it a bit. d0 minus d1. That is subtract today from when he was born. Okay, so it will be all. Then oldest person will be the last one, L of minus 1, 0, and this will be L of 0, 0. Okay. So I think if you done it with some, there may be, no, we don't have any data. So give some data. 3. Next line. If you have some data, you have data. Huh? 1968. Make it bigger. Okay, we'll give some data and you will see. And month 17th May. December 16th, okay. Okay, let's run it. So the oldest person happens to be Gopal and the youngest person happens to be Ram. Okay. So we just did it little. I mean, it works the same way, same logic. Only thing is we are reversing. Go back. Go back to the code. Yeah, make it bigger. So code is perfect. So we just made it positive days. So what are we doing? We sorted it based on x1. Once we have sorted it, the oldest person is who? The last guy, no? Sorted on age, number of days. So youngest person will be the 0 and the last, how do you refer to the last element in the list? Minus 1. And remember, each element of the list is a tuple. So what are we doing? L of minus 1, 0. Because each is a tuple. L minus 1 refers to the last tuple. And 0 refers to the first field. Why the first field? Because we want the name of the person. And L0 means go to the first tuple, pick up the name from there. That is the first field. That will give you the name of the youngest person. So we know the name of the oldest person and the So it's very nicely done. It's really very good. Looks like this person has understood quite a lot, and this is what we want you to do. Basically, understand the question first, that we want days, then what should be the logic? What should be the logic? You should be able to subtract. You should know how much is the age in some unit. It could be years. Years is too obtuse because somebody born in the same year may still have the same difference. Days is so you do subtraction, and from that delta you take days. That's already there in time delta. If you bother to go to the net and search, it is days, and this is all you get. Okay, now this is one person, and I think it's all similarly or slightly differently or differently. You didn't use delta. Okay, let's see your solution. What's 5? 507. Yeah. Let's look at somebody else's solution. It's always good to see different kinds of solutions. Yeah. Here is another. No. I don't agree. This is. You shouldn't hard code. You are sorting based on date, and this perhaps will also work, but yeah, this will give you a lesser date and a greater date, but yeah, this will work. But first, don't put any fixed dates. Read the data from the user, but if you create a date and you create, what he's doing is creating a list of dates. Okay. And you can still sort the list of dates and get the guy who is the first will be the first date, so you can retrieve it, and so then, but print group 0 will give you only I want the name of the person. You will give me what? You will give me the date, the month in which, the date on which the youngest person was born. No. So this does not serve our purpose entirely. 2 reasons. 1, we don't want any hard coding. 2, we want the name of the person. Okay? So this won't do the trick. That, what we just saw earlier, will solve the problem nicely. Okay? So it's a little time that you need to take some time, understand the question, and then do it also. Okay? Anybody else has some other solution? We don't mind looking at it, because that's how you learn. Exploring more solutions. Okay. Maybe to get this idea fixed. Okay, let's do one more. Okay, let's make it simple. Similar kind of data, maybe 3. Name of the person. Mike is there. So X, Y, Z, name of the person. Then, as usual, age. 11, 7. This is the month, this is the day, and this is the year. Okay. Now, imagine you are getting a similar kind of data, same as last example. Now, I want to know, who are the people who share their birthdays? Is it a little tougher? Because there may be more than one pair which shares a birthday. I think it's maybe not yet. Little tough. No, this is not easy. You know why it's not easy? Because there may be more than one pairing of sharing a birthday. Okay, let's make it very simple. Just 2 lines of data. You have to give an answer, yes or no, whether their birthdays are same or not. Okay, do it very quickly. Let's do it. You don't need any date time also for this. Very simple. 2 lines of data. No names, no nothing. Just 2 dates, year, month, and day, and whether their birthdays are same. Very quickly, just to revamp the system. So, do the 2 people whose data you are getting, are they sharing their birthday or not? I'm just asking whether 2 people share a birthday or not, yes or no. That's all is the answer. Yeah. Over. It's very simple. Just 2-3 lines. Read the data and I'm just giving you 2 dates. Do they share a birthday or not? Practice 7. This is very easy, so I don't want to show any solution, but this is how it will go. I don't know how many of you. We'll just pick one and see if that's it. Yeah, something like this. Yeah, something like this. That's all we need. So, yeah, this is good. Yeah, this is perfect. So, how do you solve? Yeah, this is good. So, I'll give you, as I said, 2 lines of input. First line is year, then date, then. So in this case, you should answer yes. If I give something else, you should say no. That's all I was asking. So first of all, you should understand what I am asking. So input dot split. So input dot split. So this splits into 3, and then he is giving it to map. Actually, you should produce it into a list. Ideally, the better way to do it is, because it's an iterator, I would feel more comfortable if it's a list. So D1 is equal to list map of int comma input dot split. So if you write it like this is better. So one more for the list, convert this list. So what does it do? It reads each one of them and splits it, then converts each of the split portion, or rather each element which is split, which is this and this, into integer. That is the job of map. So this, when you split, you get strings. Actually you get 2001, then 13, then 06 you will get. That is what input.split will do. Then each element has to be converted into integer if you have to compare, which is what he is doing. Then that is a list. So each list contains 3 elements. 0 is the year, 1 is the day, 1 is the month. If I follow that, it should be 0630. 0630. Okay. So the second one is the month. This is the year. This is the month, and the third one is the day. So the month and day is the same. Then we say yes, else we print no. This is perfectly fine. This is good code. Okay. Only thing is, I would like you to convert this into a list and run it. Okay. Let's see if let's see somebody else's code, and then we'll move on. Okay, we'll do one more. Now, for I in range 2, why not? Good, a split, then create a date out of that, okay, and L dot append date, okay, L0 equal L1. No, I said in this case, if you want everything to be same, they should be exactly same, even the year should be same. That's what you are testing, L0 is equal to L1. No, that is not true. Because I never said the year should be same. Sharing a birthday means what? Sharing the month and the year. So this won't work because you are converting it into a date and then choosing the date will include both. Will include all three. Okay, so this is not correct. Okay. Let's see something else. No, again, why are we comparing years? First one is the year. Why should year be equal? No. No. Only month and day, if they are equal, we say they share a birthday. So you don't need to compare the year. Why are you comparing year? This looks okay. So A2 is equal to B2, yeah, and A1 is equal to B1. So he's comparing the day and the month, and he's saying yes. This is good. This is correct. So I think I have shown you what is correct, what is wrong. Now we can't go through each code and talk about it. So this is what it is. Okay. Now, okay, we have one test case based question. So we opened it. So give it a shot. What is that? Okay, there is a question called student dictionary. So give it a shot. See if you can do it. Then we'll discuss it. Okay, they are asking you to first print a dictionary in the way it is there and then find out whose marks are highest and get this. Yeah, this requires a bit of work, so take your time and do it. Understand the question, understand what you need to output, think, then do. That is the first step. Display that dictionary. Then go through the dictionary one by one. Find out how do you go through a dictionary. There is that items. Look at documentation if you want. Nothing wrong in looking at documentation. That's the whole thing of running an open book. Look at items on a dictionary. It will give you each item. Then compare the aggregate, and while comparing and deciding who is highest, you have to compare the aggregate marks, all the marks put together. Look at the person, ID, aggregate marks, combine them, check whether it is higher than the max. Yeah, 12:40 we will start solving it because it will take us that long. We don't see too much of success, but that's okay. Let's go step by step and try to solve it. So what will we do first? To get this part, we'll say, okay, I'm going to write line by line. Okay, fine. So let's process this line first. Okay. So how do I handle that line? So I say n is equal to int of input enter number of students. I should just directly copy that from there. Okay, don't bother. Enter number of students. So this will give me that 3 or whatever that number is, the number of students. Now what will I have to do? I have to write a loop, a for loop or something. Because I want that many records to be read, that many names to be read, that many people to be read. So after that, I will say that enter student details. So that I will simply print enter student details. I think we'll have to make it. Yeah. Okay, so we are solving it. N is equal to, I hope you understood line 21. So we are saying input, whatever we give as parameter comes as a prompt, and that is the input. It returns a string. So 3 will come to us as a string, which we don't want. We want is an integer. So by putting that int, we are converting it into an integer. That is how you convert it into an integer. You can put it in many ways. Then enter student details. That's just a line like that. If you see your question, it will become clear. Then see that enter student details and colon. Okay, so we put that there. And after that, what the student will enter is so many data. So many pieces of data. So that I'll use a for loop for I in range of n. So I will start from 0, 1, 2. As long as we get the right number of records, we are fine. For I in range n, that is how I will start the loop. Okay. What should I do in that loop? I am saying for I in range n. So I am in that loop. So I have to read one by one. And where should I put it? I should put it in a dictionary. But I haven't created a dictionary yet. So because remember, each entry is a dictionary. So I should create a list outside. Remember, what is the data structure we are doing? We are producing a list of dictionary. Each dictionary represents a person who has 3 things: ID, name, and a set of marks. That marks is also a list. So we'll have to do all of that very carefully and build it carefully. So, but the whole thing is a list of dictionary, and marks are a list within that dictionary. So it's a dictionary, a list within a dictionary within a list. Okay, anyway, you know what we are doing. So what we'll do is we'll create an empty list. So let's call it S list, student list. S list is equal to empty. Okay, yeah. And then for each student, we must create a dictionary. Okay, for each student, we must create a dictionary. And then we'll see how to add things to a dictionary. So let's create an empty dictionary. So we'll say SD, that is student dictionary, is equal to empty dictionary. Okay? See the way we put together a empty dictionary. Yes, no? Understood? We have an empty list to start with. I have not added anything to the list. Each student is a dictionary, and now I'll read the student data and put it accordingly. So see how I am doing it. So I'll say I'll read the student record, which consists of, as you can see, can you go up a bit? Yeah, which consists of, as you see, 5 parts. 3, first is the ID, second is the name, and 3 marks are there. So we have to accordingly store it. So let's try and do that. So I will say input split now. So we'll say S data, student data is equal to input dot split we are reading each input record and splitting it. Remember, there are 5 portions to each input record. Each student has 5 parts. So this is where S data will be. So S data 0 is what? ID. S data 1 is what? Name. S data 2, 3 and 4 are what? Marks of the student. Does everybody agree with that? No, yes. S data. No. So we are now filling it up. How do we fill up? We are filling up that dictionary which we are creating for every student. So look at the way we are filling it up. SD ID, that is the key is ID, and the first thing is data of the student. What is it? Number of the ID of the student. That can be left as string. Even it is 101, we don't have to convert that into string. Let's leave it as it is. So SD name is equal to S data of 1. What is that? Wait. SD name is equal to S data of 1. What is 1? Name of the person. Okay, so the name of the person becomes SD name. Okay. Let me pause here a bit and see whether you are following. See, what we are creating for students is, we are going to create a list. We are going to create a list. List for each student there is going to be a dictionary. So each student is a dictionary. So we are creating this part. And in the dictionary for marks, again we need a list. So you will see what we do. So SD is equal to marks. Now for those marks, we will need an empty list to which we will add that data. Okay, so what we will do is, let's create an empty list called M list on line 25 itself. M list. Marks list. M list is equal to, because it's a list, empty. Okay. Now what will I do is, before I add SD marks, let's remove line 30 for a minute. Okay. Before I do SD marks, I have to build a list for marks of the student, and they have to come in integer form. So I can write a loop here for 3, but I can do it one at a time. I am doing it one at a time because I know how many marks are there. So what will I do? What will I do? I'll write 3 statements. Mlist dot append integer version of int of s data of 2. Similarly, I have to say mlist. I'm building that marks list as a list. Mlist. Mlist dot. Mlist dot s data of 2, 3, and 4. Remember, s data of 2, 3, and 4 contains the marks for the subjects. Now, so it's a list of dictionary, and each dictionary has 3 parts: ID, name, and marks. What is the nature of the animal of marks? Marks animal nature is, marks is also a list because you have 3. So now you say SD of marks is equal to M list. So that is a list we are producing. This we have to do for every student. Okay. Now wait. Did you understand this much first? See, we are building a reasonably complex data structure. We have a list of students. For each student, we are maintaining a dictionary. Each dictionary has 3 parts: ID, name, and marks list. Or marks, whatever. Marks is also just not a regular field, it's a list because it contains all the marks. So keeping that in mind, we are creating it like this. For I range n, we are reading each student at a time. We are making initially the dictionary empty and the mark list also empty. Then we are saying input.split. The split will have 5 parts. The 5 parts being ID of the person, name of the person, and marks in 3 subjects. Those are the each student. So we are getting that in line 27 by splitting. But right now the data is in string form. Some of the data can be in string form, but some of the data like marks has to be converted into integer. So what we are doing on line 28, we are saying SD of ID. That is, we are now beginning to fill the dictionary. So the dictionary contains key and value. So what is the key for the first thing? ID is the key. What is the value of the key? S data of 0. What is S data of 0? Name of ID of the person. Then we are saying second field, SD of name. SD of name is the second field in the dictionary. Name of the field is name. And what is it? SD data of 1. Remember, S data consists of 5 pieces. So S data of 1. So after that, we have created an empty list earlier. So we are saying mlist.append int of S data 2, S data 3, S data 4. So we are converting each of the marks into an integer and adding it to mlist. And once the mlist is formed, we are making that as the value for the third entry in the dictionary, which is marks. So marks is a list. So it's a list of dictionary. Each dictionary has one field, which is a list. Now this has to become your normal thing, because this is not very, it is at this stage probably a little complex, but you have to get used to it. Otherwise you will not be able to deal with data. Data comes like this only. It doesn't come very simple like 0, 1. Okay, so now at the end of the for loop, I have my list of students built, each student being a dictionary. Now what is the question asked? The question asked is, one is to print this dictionary. So let's print the dictionary at the moment and see how it goes. It won't get us the right answer, but we can print the dictionary. Which dictionary are we going to print? Which list are we going to print? We're going to print that list to which we added. No, we forgot to add that. Okay, sorry, I forgot one step. Slist dot append. I forgot that. Slist dot append. SD is the dictionary, which is created every time. I forgot that. So let me come out of the for loop and let's see what I get. Okay, just we'll run it with the question. Yeah, 3. Unfortunately, we cannot cut paste. So go no, ID first. ID 101 and marks. Okay, we are entering some random data. Okay. Yeah. So now we are getting the data the way we want it. Yeah. So see the way the data is coming. It's a list in which there is a dictionary. I hope you can see the outer one is a square bracket. Within that there is a flower bracket, which means it's a dictionary. Remember in Python, dictionary is flower bracket. So flower bracket, the dictionary consists of fields, ID, name and marks, which also is a list. See, marks is also a list. Like that it gets repeated for the next student, next student, next student, like that. Okay, now we are at a point where we have got the list of dictionary with each entry having marks list. Now what is our challenge? We have to find the student with the highest mark. Okay. So you can say max marks is equal to 0 to start. Okay. Then for every student as we go, what should we do? We should find out whether his marks are higher than the current max, okay, on aggregate. And then for that person, we have to store all the data. That is, we should remember probably the entry in the list. If you remember the entry in the list, that is I, it's enough because later we can come and print it. That is, we should remember, we should find out what is the highest entry. The entry means index number. Index starts at 0, remember? If you remember the index of the highest guy, then outside the loop, you can, if you know the highest index, you can always print the data you want. Okay? Now, I'm not going to finish this. Okay? So, I will finish it for sure in the next session, but I'm not going to finish it now. What I want you to do is, you have an S list. Now you know what is the answer expected. What is the answer expected? The data about the maximum person. Right? So, if you want, take this question, we'll give you this, and then work from this point onwards to finish the question. Is that a fair deal? Oh yes. Take it from this point onward and finish it. Finish it means? Finish it. That is, find out who is the highest person and do it. So, can we give them that? What is it? practice 8. If you open practice 8, you will have a question and our answer. Do you have it? Just check it in. Practice 8. Not coming? Not coming. Huh? Come. Have you got it? 8. Practice 8. Does everyone get it? Okay, now take 8 as a basis and finish it. Okay. Take your time today, finish it by, of course, 10 o'clock. Okay. But struggle with it a bit. How to go through a list? Going through a list is very easy. Okay. How to go through a list? Find out what is the highest salary. Sorry, not highest. Maximum marks, and print the data about the guy or person with the highest marks. Okay? Just finish it. You'll get yourself evaluated. If everything matches, you'll get the grade. So please do it. We've given you this much code. Now you need to finish it. Okay? This code will only take you up to a point where you'll get a dictionary. List of dictionary. That is where it will stop. Beyond that, you can easily do. And that's what you should do. That's how you learn. So finish that question. I'll not finish it. But next session we'll finish it and we'll do more. See, we cannot go forward till your list and dictionaries are pakka. So, and obviously I don't expect everybody to finish, but when we have a majority who are able to do, then we'll move forward. It may take us a week. Typically it takes us a week. Week means about 3 to 4 sessions to get this list, dictionary, and maybe a little bit of tuples together. But you should be able to make that happen. And then only you will have the confidence to deal with more complex problems. Okay. So please finish it and we will continue in the next session.